You don't ask Trump to speak like Obama, and you don't ask Obama to speak like Trump. And what people think is that they need to speak like whoever they think speaks well. But everyone's style is different. And if you are not being yourself, we will sense it and we will think you are lying, and we will not want to be involved with you. The most important thing for any kind of leader is learning how to be themselves.
Our relationship with technology is evolving rapidly. As AI is changing businesses and reshape our world, what does the future hold?
Hi everyone, and welcome to another episode of AI Business Transformation. I'm Michael Coppola, and today I'm excited to be here with Sam Malone, a voice coach working for established school of drama school like RADA and Central. Hi Sam, welcome.
Hey Michael, it's good to see you. How are you?
So Sam, I want to jump into directly into your experience. Do you want to give us a bit of your background? How have you became one of the main voice coach in your field?
Yeah, so I used to work in HR and learning and development in IT, healthcare, and oil and gas. And so I have a business background. And I think compared to most spoken voice coaches or speech coaches, most would have been in theater or in acting, and then transitioned it to speech. So I started off back home in Canada, and then I moved into the spoken voice world, where I did my master's at the Royal Central School of Speech and Drama, also known as Central, as you mentioned, Michael. And there I'd become very lucky in my career because I work with students who are now leads on the West End, and then also things like the top drama schools in the world. So I'm quite lucky that way. Yeah, it's lovely. And then started to teach different entrepreneurs how to pitch for multi-million pounds of investment.
Sam, can you tell us one story that maybe has caught you working with different peoples that where someone it was really hesitant at the beginning in their journey, and then after working with them, they became really confident, and they been able to speak in front of many people. We want to understand as well the struggle what people are facing, where, you know, at the beginning, I think for everyone, also for myself, we have been through the struggle when you had to speak in front of many people, and how you help them to overcome that.
Yeah, so I think the thing that most people don't understand about the entrepreneurial world is that in the early days, your pitching is almost the most important thing you can do. Because a lot of the time, you just have an idea, you need funding, or you need money and capital to get your business off the ground. And I think that when I'm working with entrepreneurs, it's quite interesting to see how they progress. So I worked with many different entrepreneurs, and as you've probably seen on Daniel Priestley speaking, he also says pitching is one of the most vital things that you can possibly do as a founder. So how do we make your story come to life? I've worked with many founders that have great ideas, and then they don't know how to make that come to life. So one of the biggest pitfalls that a founder I was working with was doing was using too much technical terms. So they were in the biomedical sciences. They're very smart. They've got a lot of investment now. But everything that they were pitching, unless it was to other bioscientists, was too much for venture capitalists to understand. It was too deep. So in terms of content, we had to make it more accessible for the audience so that the audience wanted to work with them. But at the same time, also getting them to speak well. So standing up, be confident, using their body, their voice, their intonation to really capture the audience and make them want to listen. That was what was most important for them. So we had to work on opening up their gestures, using more of their vocal range because most people's voices get tight over time. And through that process, that individual now has received a bunch of funding, is working with some of the biggest medical organizations in the world, and is also starting to be getting medical grant money for that device that they're using and making. I don't want to give too much detail because I sometimes I think people like their anonymity. But yeah.
And what do you think actually make people pay attention when someone is speaking? So what's that catch really people attention?
So there is 4 main things that will make people really listen to you. I know 3 is easier to remember, but 4 is where it's at. So yes, your writing needs to be very good. A lot of people think they're very good writers. They use ChatGPT and other AIs, but usually it doesn't have enough impact or emotional impact for the audience. So firstly, your writing needs to be really good. Number 2, your voice, the way that you speak in terms of rhythm, intonation, and just using those tones to really pull people in are the ways that you capture your audience into actually listening. Because if you're just moving, they're not necessarily going to pay attention to you. Number 3 would be your body. So yes, your connective tissue, your fascia, the way you're gesturing. Are you making eye contact with the audience? Are you looking out? How big or small are you making yourself? So that can be quite captivating for an audience. And if that doesn't match your voice, people don't trust it. And lastly would be how calm you are in terms of your nervous system. Are you excited? Are you calm? Are you too calm? How do we engage your nervous system? Because they will also sense what you're doing, and that makes people just get sucked into your presence on stage or even on a pitch like this. Are we talking too fast? Are we talking too slow? Are we using only one part of our range, which sounds really boring? How do we make that idea come to life with our words, with our storytelling ability? I would say those are the 4 main things that you need.
Yeah, that's great. And how are you teaching people to apply these 4 principles?
So I think in terms of the entrepreneurial world and pitching, which is probably in some ways a lot different than theater, but also very similar. When we work with entrepreneurs, it's about getting that message across in a very condensed format. So 60 seconds. So in 60 seconds to 5 minutes, how do you make sure that your audience is engaged? And so yes, it is script writing. I help them with their script writing, making it more clear, more succinct, making sure that the audience wants to pay attention to them. I also then work with their bodies and voices. So I might help them find better posture with my hands. I might help them learn how to gesture. I might teach them how to walk on stage. I also teach them to breathe and use their voice, so it's not just on one tone, and open up the voice. So I think compared to maybe just a public speaking coach, which I kind of overlap with, I do a lot more body and voice work than a regular public speaking coach would do, who might just tell you, this is what you need to say, this isn't the way you need to say it. So the example might be, if your voice is really tight and you only have one part of your range, the public speaking coach will say, oh, use more range, but people with a tight voice might not be able to. So I work with them to find more vocal range, to have more impact with their words and their movement, to make sure that people really want to listen and buy into their product. And Yeah, I think that's where people find it really interesting. What are your thoughts on it, Michael?
I think we have been through the program together, and I
Mm-hmm.
think your lessons to us has been transformative. We have been really having a huge impact. Your
Mm.
teaching to us has been, your coaching to us has been really improving how we present our startup in front of people, to be more feeling more confident, having the right posture. So a lot of details that make us much more clear and convey the message better. And how do you think the body posture or the body itself has so much influence when presenting?
Well, I think that's what's really interesting. So, the body posture, so many people are forgetting how much status and presence comes through that. So, when I work with actors, especially like young undergraduate actors and entrepreneurs, a lot of their posture is not very good. The running joke would be that a lot of people I work with have the posture, and the spine of an 80-year-old, not a 24-year-old, 35-year-old, 40-year-old. They don't sit or stand with posture that makes you want to listen and gives them that presence or gravitas. So, as you said, when we worked on the program, one of the first things we worked on was finding posture, moving through the space and having that energy that makes people go, oh, that entrepreneur, I want to listen to him or I want to listen to her. That's that posture piece. And yes, there's stuff around gestures as well. So if you use the same gesture all the time, people might start getting bored. It might have less impact. But yeah, I think that posture piece was like really key for a lot of the entrepreneurs on selling their product, because yes, we're buying the product, but we're also buying and investing in you as a leader. You might have a great product, but if we don't think you can execute as venture capitalists, then how can we invest in you?
I completely agree. What is your advice for people that have that they are struggling with that and
Mm.
they want to get better of being able to relax even before a really important presentation? So, what was your advice?
Yeah, and you would know this because I worked with you and your colleagues on the program, the entrepreneurial program. I think what makes my work a lot different, even from other spoken voice coaches and definitely public speaking coaches, is I'm very interested in our nervous system. So, how our nervous system is scanning for danger, how we deal with threats. So, as we know, and in my book, which I'm about to publish called Why They Can't Hear You, there's three main nervous system states. So there's your human brain, your animal brain, and your reptilian brain. And the reptilian's the oldest, the animal's mid, and then the newest is the human brain. And when you're about to speak, because you're maybe nervous to get investment or there's hundreds of people watching you, and just public speaking can be very scary for a lot of people, we have to learn how to calm the nervous system, which means unclenching in our muscles in our body, learning different breathing techniques to calm the nervous system, and then all that preparation work you've done as well. So, are you fully memorized? We'd say off book in theater. Are you off book? Are you fully memorized? Do you know what slide is next? Do you know where you need energy in your presentation? So, all that preparation work and then learning to calm your body gives you true presence and meaning in what makes what people want to really engage with. And it doesn't even have to be a pitch. They want to engage with you because you could be pitching in front of a boss in terms of a new idea. You could be speaking to a colleague or a business deal or in a courtroom. And the way you speak and you engage them is going to make them want to work with you, do business with you, buy into the idea. Because a lot of the time, all we're doing is selling ideas. So I would say its nervous system is what we need to do, is learn to calm down, notice where we're tense in our bodies. This is very general because every person's different. So everybody's tension patterns would be different. As you know, versus some of your colleagues, there was some people who were more tense than others. Certain people were doing certain things, maybe with their shoulders or their jaw, and we were learning to calm down our nerves before we got on stage.
And do you have some practical tips?
I'll say yes, but I'll caveat that. So every person is different. So the way that you, Michael, hold tension is a lot different than, say, some of your colleagues. So to say paintbrush it as like general practical, I think is really hard, because there was an exercise I did with you that I didn't do with everyone else because everyone else has different things. I think one of the simplest things you can do, and this is across different nervous system scientists, they say this works. I think there's ways of making it more optimal, but the most practical thing in terms of easy, accessible for everyone is breathing in through the nose for 4, out through the mouth for 8. So in, 2, 3, 4, out, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Try it again. In, 2, 3, 4, out, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I think that's probably the easiest and most accessible, or general. But I think it becomes really individual for the person. But I would say that's like practical, easy for your listeners.
What do you think is one of the most important things? So we are talking about many different things that are attracting people attention, but do you think there is one of that is the most important?
To me, it would be how you speak as an individual. So you don't ask Trump to speak like Obama, and you don't ask Obama to speak like Trump. And what people think is that they need to speak like whoever they think speaks well. But everyone's style is different. And if you are not being yourself, we will sense it, and we will think you are lying, and we will not want to be involved with you if we think you're lying. So the most important thing, very quickly, for any kind of leader is learning how to be themselves. Because the other end of it is, yes, okay, you can speak like someone else and we'll know you're lying. But if you are also too perfect and you're too polished, almost robotic, you lose any good feelings as well. We think that, like, okay, you're too polished. Again, we don't believe you because you don't seem human because you're too good at speaking. So it's a fine balance. You can't speak like someone else, and you can't be too polished, because we just will think that you are robotic. You can see it in politicians across the world. I'm not going to name names, but there's people who are too polished, who we think are boring or snake-like because they're too polished. And then there's other people who we just don't listen to because they don't have their own personality.
I completely agree with you. So I want to understand as well, what do you think about AI is impacting as well both the content creation, the communication, the way how humans are communicating? Is AI going to replace a lot of human presentation, or we will always be having to we will always like to have humans to talk and lead and present? Or are we going to see a world where we can have some fully generated AI leader? That could be a really possible outcome. So what's your point of view in that?
So I think I'm on both sides of this. So, which is very me. If any of you know me, that's very me. I'm very yin and yang. AI, in terms of spoken voice work and presentations and leadership skills. On one end, you have people who use AI for efficiency, but they do not want AI for like posts. So I've had people say to me that my LinkedIn posts almost read as AI, like it's too polished, and they don't like it. They don't want to read an AI post. Equally, if you had the CEO of Google, Apple, any international company, if an AI was speaking for them, I think there'd be a large distrust of anyone using an AI to speak for them. So I think people wouldn't trust it. On the opposite end, I can see how there are people who've fallen in love with AIs and gotten married to an AI. So I think in some ways it will create things like human connection, and it can help polish your writing. But again, people can tell when it's not me writing or someone else writing because it doesn't have that personality. And what I found for me, at least right now with AI, is that I'm better at script writing than an AI. So when I work with the founder, sometimes they'll use AI, and actually I can make it have a bit more impact than the AI because it's too general. So I think in terms of call centers, I've dealt with someone already where it's like not a call center, but an email was done by an AI. And I was like, okay, well, that was efficient. But then on the other end, if I don't go down the AI algorithm of where it wants me to go, it becomes problematic. So I think for leaders, you're still going to have to speak. You're still going to have a personality. You have to make your script your own. Otherwise, it'll sound too robotic, again, too polished. And I know with your work, Michael, that maybe coaches in the future will have more of an AI avatar. But like how, I guess like even for me, it'd be interesting to see how much it could replicate of a personality. Because I think in different spaces, I'm such a different person. Like when I teach the acting students, I'm very stern. As to when I work with the entrepreneurs, I'm much more kind and open, but it's different ball games. So I think as a general, leaders must still learn to speak. They still need to be on stage. We want to see them be human and make mistakes. AI can be helpful and efficient, but I think there's still a large distrust, and I think you would lose credibility as a leader if AI is speaking for you.
Yeah, I completely agree. From the other side, there is also the downside, but then the question is, are we just losing our human connection and we just rely on this digital avatar and we completely lose our human connection one? This is the question that we are going through probably as a society, and also personally explore, understand, do we need more? We are investing a lot of billions in technology, SaaS solution, but they are bringing us more and more in a digital world. We are spending less and less time in a one-on-one connection with our family. We do, but we do through digital devices. So and understanding, is this the way we want to go, or do we need to maybe invest more in solutions that allow us to gather more together as a species instead of gathering through digital devices and spending most of our time in a digital environment? So yeah, are all questions that I think we should embrace and understanding, probably thinking a bit more both as an individual and as a society.
Yeah, and it was interesting. Recently, I just saw, I'd have to check the facts, that I forget which country it was. I believe it was a European country. Were banning anyone under the age of 15 from using social media. Um, and I think that's where it's interesting in AI. We're getting so much more efficient. And yes, maybe my coaching or someone's coaching could help hundreds of people. I think mine would be hard because mine is a lot of hands-on work. We were in a group setting, so maybe I'll do less hands-on work, but I do a lot of hands, like moving people work, because their bodies need the adjustment. But it'll be interesting to see, okay, you have people banning young people from using social media, and then at the same time we're getting more efficient. And I think you're going to see these like kind of like either swings to seeing more in person, because even COVID, people were feeling really lonely and isolated, so they wanted that connection. But then with the efficiency, you're not necessarily connecting with a human. So I think it'll be interesting to see how the two come together, because yes, so many more people could be helped efficiently with coaches. At the same time, I don't know what that means for other like ways of connecting, like you mentioned. So that'll be really interesting.
I completely agree. And there are other AI. Do you think there are other AI innovation that you have seen in the space that are helping in your space as a coach voice?
So I think that my field's interesting because I've been asked to help develop an app to teach people voice coaching. So I analyze it and then give them feedback. And then I've seen apps as well being like change your voice. But I think you have to be really careful with the voice. The voice isn't like a regular muscle. It's made out of a different style of um, body tissue. So it's more like your lips. And if you use it wrong, it's very easy to injure your voice. And then you will have voice problems the rest of your life. So I think it's really interesting that AI might be helping coach people almost like a singing teacher. But I still deal with so many singers who are injuring their voices because they're not technically enough knowing how to control their voice enough. And I don't know how readily AI can hear or do those kinds of things. So, like, for example, I can hear different blockages in the throat. I can hear when the tongue's doing things. And I know there's other people who can't. And so it'd be very interesting between that and like accents, how you do that. But I know in terms of AI, it's interesting that people are creating these apps. But then it also calls in the question, should someone need to like, because theirs is mostly about pitch. So if you talk up here or you talk down here, theirs is mostly about pitch. But should someone really have to change their pitch to be having impact and be heard? That's like an ethical dilemma. So I think it becomes really complicated. But it is interesting to see where AI is going in relationship to voice work and just things like oil and gas, electronics, robotics, etc., and medicine. So yeah, no, it'll be something to look out for.
Yeah, I think there is an opportunity now that you have been talking about AI in voice coaching. I think there is an opportunity because one thing that AI is good is to analyze big amount of data, and if we apply that
Mm,
to computer vision and mix with the data from a person speaking, we could build a
mm,
system through with AI that really analyze both the visual side of the person, so analyzing what are example, the nerve they are involved in while speaking. So they could give feedback really, really specific on, yeah, as you said, in maybe also on the tonality of the voice, on the expression, so could be something really, really precise, because it's going to have a lot of data. Of course, has to be trained using someone like you that has already experience into detecting all these variable changes, right? But an AI system can do it much better than humans, because they can detect maybe really small changes of variability of the voice, and they can detect as well, they can understand exactly why that is happening in base of a set of data. So yeah, I think there is some potential use cases there.
Possibly. I don't know, because I've asked AI, and I think in terms of like the breaking down of information, yes. The question is, are you making them all go to the same type of speaker again? This is where it becomes complicated, because I guess where's your end point? Where my end point might not be this end point, it might be that Michael needs to speak like Michael. And that's where it gets complicated. And I would say yes, maybe that it gets the fluctuations and it notices the tension. But I guess where the more hands-on work, so the work that I did with you in the cohort, if it was like a pool, I think we were like dipping our toe in. But when I work with the actors and I'm having to move their shoulder and stuff, I think that's where it becomes more complicated. But yes, I agree, there's some like benefits and maybe possibility there. Definitely.
Yeah, as you said, is the mix of both, right? We had to have, but I think can also help a lot the work that we are doing now to make it, even 10 times better.
Amazing.
Cool. Thanks, Sam. It's really interesting conversation, and we getting into the end of the recording. I want to understand, do you have some quick tips for people on how to present? We have mentioned some of them. If you want to give some additional tips around public speaking and presentation, and also want to understand as well something that you believe that many people are disagreeing with you.
Yeah. Okay. So I think in terms of public speaking, most people, they think it's just about standing up and speaking. I think that you need to be very clear about where you're directing your energy. Like in the room, are you speaking to one person? Are you speaking to someone in the back? Where are you putting your energy in the space? That's like a very, very simple thing. Where are you looking? So if you're rehearsing all the time looking down like this, usually when you get on stage, you'll be looking down. I think that's a very simple tip that people, even in things like Toastmasters, the public speaking group, could work on, in terms of like the way you rehearse is the way that you show up. So how do you practice? Because the way that you're practicing will show up in the way that you speak. So who are you directing your focus to? I would say that although I'm not a movement specialist and or body language coach per se, a lot of people say that you should do this, steepling, because it's shown as like being very like knowledgeable. I actually just think it makes you look like a narcissist that's been trained to try and look powerful. Like, I think when you're like this, you look like an evil mastermind. Even though people say that's like the way of showing power, to me it just reads as fake and manipulative. So I think that would be like the big negative no. Don't do this. If you do this, you might be more of a politician. But again, these are more body language things, but that of the four, so nervous system, speech, writing, body, and voice, this is maybe more body. It might be more accessible for people. But that being said, everyone in the room, and especially me, can see where your body is tense and you hold nervous system tension. If you're constantly stressed, we can see it. So you have to learn how to relax that. But I think, yeah, this would be the big negative. I don't really agree with this. Some people might see it as really powerful, but I think once you know what someone's doing when they do this, you might find it highly manipulative. So I think that one's like the big no-no that science would disagree with. But I think once you know what someone's doing, you'll go, don't do it. If I was to say something that I think they think is controversial, I think a lot of people think that lower pitched voices mean that you're more of a leader. And that largely comes in the idea of what's masculine and feminine. So the idea of what you think is masculine and feminine in one language, the sounds that are masculine and feminine in one language aren't the same in another language. What's masculine in Russian, Chinese, Korean, India, English are all different. And it's not always just about pitch. And it can be about speed, it can be about inflection. And this is where you get this is why with AI it's complicated. Because what sounds good maybe to one language listener might not sound good to another language listener or other cultures. So I think that would be like the most controversial thing. Everyone just thinks that you need to sound really deep to sound good. But if you sound too deep, you'll sound fake and you'll sound boring because you only use one part of your range. I'm only in one part of my range. This is so exciting. And if I've been speaking like this for 40 years and I'm speaking in front of 100 of my employees and I don't know why they're all bored, it's because I've been speaking like that for so long. No one wants to listen because there's no changes. They think you're dead inside. So that would be the controversial thing.
Hi there, welcome to my channel. I'm Michael Coppola. I'm excited to have you here. Thank you for joining me on this journey.